like because of like I have like also knowledge about Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like it's in some aspect it's very similar with Singapore, but because of like recently political issues, many Hong Kong people moved from Hong Kong to the other countries. But how about in Singapore? Singaporeans also love Singapore and stay in Singapore, or they also want to move to other like regions or countries.
We do experience a lot of migration out of the country, immigration. I think there's always good and bad, to every country. Maybe as we were speaking, our conversation, it's very positive towards Singapore. I am quite patriotic. I love my country.
Okay.
So maybe that's one aspect, right? But maybe even talk about my brother as an example.
Yeah.
So my oldest brother, he's now an Australian.
Australia,
he's living in Australia. And he has his personal reasons why he chose to move there. From my conversation with him, I think he felt that Singapore is too hectic, too fast-paced, and he wanted something slower. He wanted something more peaceful.
Yeah.
So that could be another good example as to why people would want to move out of Singapore. We are a small country. We have a big population, and that can create a lot of competition.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just an anecdotal reason why people would choose to move, but of course there are many reasons, whether for work, whether for family. Maybe like we talked about the having a lot of foreigners in the country. Maybe even after they become Singapore citizens, when they retire, maybe they choose to go back to their home country.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
So, again, many reasons.
So you say competitive. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Singapore is very competitive country. But could you give me some example about how competitive it is in Singapore?
Okay, good question. So we were talking about education here in Singapore earlier, and even going to the public school. Like we talked about, it can be very competitive. Children from a very young age, they go for all sorts of extra tuition classes. They go for remedial classes.
After school,
so even for myself, when I was young, after school, I go for maths, I go for Chinese tuition, I go for English tuition, I go for science tuition. Because our mom wanted us to do well in school and get a good career, get a good future. So even for children from a very young age, they already start experiencing that stress, that competitive side of Singapore society. And not all children can handle and deal with that. It's very stressful, and sometimes they feel tired, they feel exhausted. So I can totally sympathize with that. So maybe that's one good example.
Yeah, it is. So how about as a lawyer? Also, it should be very competitive, right? So how long you work every day?
My hours are quite long.
I know it. But give me like also example. How long you work?
I typically come into the office maybe about 9 a.m. 9:30 a.m. right? And then I'll probably work throughout the day. I'll have my dinner near the office, and then I usually come back and continue my work. So maybe 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. would be a normal
12 hours. It's normal, right, inside?
It's quite normal, but of course, nobody is forcing me to work so late. It's just that, I have work to do, I have emails to clear, I have things to do. If my clients need me to work extra hours, I do that, right? I don't complain. I don't feel like it's a hassle. It's not a big deal. On lucky days, I get to leave exactly at 6 p.m. and go home and get a good rest. So there's a balance. Some days I work longer, some days I end on time.
So do you have a weekend?
So this weekend, again as an example, I was in the office on Saturday. But on Sunday I had a completely a rest day. So yesterday I just stayed at home. I cooked dinner at home. Yeah, it was a normal day for me, just to rest and recover for the week.
Wow. As you also mentioned, your client is international, so maybe you guys have also time difference. So I mean, your client working like a daytime in their own country, but it means you are nighttime. So maybe they still like require you to work, right? So it should be like from the early morning to the midnight. You need to work.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So like later tonight, after my working hours, then we have clients that they want to have meetings, they want to use Zoom, they want to speak to us. So maybe for 9 a.m. when they just start work, it will be 9 p.m. for us here. So sometimes we accommodate their timing, because they are our clients. We are the service provider. We are the service provider. So later tonight, quite late in the evening, I'll have a call with my clients. That's normal.
You say it's normal, but it sounds like it's very competitive.
You see, maybe that's why from a young age I already work overtime when I go for tuition and study for exam, right? So maybe now to me it's normal.
It's normal, it's normal. But for other countries, maybe it's abnormal. So Japan is a famous country for overworking. But I think modern Japan is not so like a hard-working country compared with your country.
I mean, but you said that you know a bit about Hong Kong culture. I'm sure you hear the same thing about
it is,
Hong Kong
to be honest,
culture as well, right? And then I have friends who are from Korea, I mean, Tokyo is another famous country where overworking is very common. I mean, I think generally our societies, we tend to work harder, we work later, we work longer.
So technology make us help a lot, but because of technology, we need to work more. In the past, we didn't have a Zoom, then we don't need to work. We don't need to do like an interview or meeting with international clients at midnight because we couldn't do. But now we can do, so we need to do it.
True, you're absolutely right.
You're
absolutely right.